The best video I released this year has been the Dell XPS 13, which surprised me because I didn't think it was that popular a device. But because it is, and because Microsoft just released their new Surface Laptop 5, I'm going to do a comparison for you of the new Microsoft device with the Dell XPS 13 that's been out for around 6 months or so. So the question becomes 13.5 inch Surface Laptop 5, 13.4 inch XPS 13, 3:2 ratio screen on the Surface, 16:10 ratio screen on the XPS 13, and 13 Plus if that's one that you want to compare. The screens of both devices are incredibly good. The Surface screen has these ridiculous bezels, and you put them side by side with each other, and you really couldn't have two more extremes. The Dell is like the ultra thin bezel, because they were the first folks to basically just kill the bezel, and Microsoft are the guiltiest, worst of all bezels in the Windows world. So feast your eyes on it, take it for what it is. I hate the bezels on the Surface Laptop 4, but the screen itself, the quality of the pictures, the quality of the display is pretty darn incredible. But to be fair, so was the Dell, so was the XPS Plus as well as the regular XPS 13. So whichever way you go here, you're gonna get a killer screen. Now the webcams on both of them, 720p, they say high def. You know, it was high def 20 years ago when 720p was like a thing, but right now, can we just drop it and forget about it? Like, it's really not okay. Either way, you're not gonna gain from one or the other. They're both about the same. Keyboards is a different story. The keyboards on the XPS range are different because the Plus got this modern, ultra Star Trek finish that looks incredible, looks really futuristic, and is one of the best looking keyboards, I think, on a Windows device. It's got the capacitive buttons across the top on the Plus, but the regular Dell XPS 13 doesn't get those. It gets regular function keys and a regular keyboard, as does the Surface Laptop 5. So which is nicer to type on? Well, if you watch this channel at all, you know that Surface keyboards are my favorite. I can't hide it. I'm not ashamed of it. We can start a club, Surface Laptop Keyboards Anonymous, if you want. They are the bomb, and it is still the best keyboard, in my opinion, out there. It is so silky smooth. It is just like velvet when you press those keys. Just the right amount of softness, just the right amount of friction, just the right amount of movement for Uncle Mikey's fingers to make the magic happen. Not that the Dell is bad, it's just not as good. And then let's talk trackpads, because we know that Mr. Dell has a problem with trackpads. They just mess them up all the time. Loose trackpads, rattling trackpads, clicks that don't work, clicks that work in the wrong place. It's the Achilles heel of a Dell XPS. Microsoft doesn't have that problem. The trackpad works wonderfully. It feels great. It's smooth glass. Every click registers as you want it to. And it really is, for a Windows laptop, perfection. It's not quite a MacBook Air trackpad, but in the world of Windows, it's kind of one of the best ones out there. Dell, fix them. And the Plus, obviously, I think is an attempt to fix that because there is no trackpad. It's got this new kind of all smooth finish with sensors underneath. And that did work really well, to be fair. But you can only get that on the Plus and not the regular. But the regular one is the U series processor. The Plus is the P series processor, which uses more battery, although it gives you more performance. The Surface also comes with the U series and the Evo chips for better battery life. Not that either of these are particularly strong on battery life, but if I was a gambling man, I would actually gamble that the XPS is going to give you more battery life than the Surface. I have not had a great experience with this Surface so far. It's only been about 4 or 5 days that I've been using it on and off. I tried to use it as a daily driver, so I literally sign into all my accounts. I'm in Office, web browsing, Google Workspace online, Word, Excel, all that kind of usual stuff. I have had moments where I've lost 15% in 30, 40 minutes, which I think is completely unacceptable in 2022. If that's the tracking of 5 hours, 6 hours battery life, no way, Jose. That's not going to work for me. I actually think you're probably going to get 8 or 9 hours out of it, but I think you're going to get 8 or 9 hours safer, a little bit, out of a Dell XPS. Take it for what it is. Ports on the Surface, you've got the Surface dock on the one side, USB-A, USB-C, headphone jack, it is Thunderbolt 4, it is USB 4. So you've got everything you need, just not very many ports. On the Dell, you're gonna get 2 USB-Cs. They are Thunderbolt 4, so that's great. Both devices are gonna give you that high connectivity for multiple 4K monitors straight out the port. It does come with some adapters for you as well, so you can go to USB-A, headphone jack, that kind of fun stuff. I kind of think the Surface is a stronger one here because I hate dongles, and the USB-A is still used by so many people and places, especially for USB thumb drives, that having that built in by default on the side of the device, I think it's still relevant in 2022. I'm sorry, but I do. Hey, you enjoying the video? Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and help me grow the channel. Let me throw up some benchmarks here for you. Again, I don't like benchmarks. We never used to do them, but I know sometimes you folks enjoy seeing them. There's not really wild differences here, and there shouldn't be. These are both 12th gen U-series chips running on similar memory, so it's expected that they're going to be pretty similar. In day-to-day use, they are both zippy, they are both snappy. You're going to be able to get everything done that you need to get done without any lag, without any letdowns. And strangely enough, just take this as a little humorous anecdote, but I was doing a review of the MacBook Air M2 with the Surface Laptop 5 in the studio today, and I had so many problems getting the MacBook to record the QuickTime video. It just kept failing and failing. The spinning little beach ball, ended up having to do a restart, and it just made me chuckle because people hate on Windows, saying, oh, you've always got to restart your device all the time. You're always getting updates at the wrong time. You're always getting freezing and stuttering. My Surface devices have been rock solid while we've been playing with them and testing them in the studio, and then I pull out the MacBook Air, and that's the one that caused me a problem. So I just thought it was funny, and I thought I'd share it with you because I thought you might like it too. But back to the review. And so then that brings us to the choice that a lot of you are going to have to make. Which way do I go here? And price may be the deciding factor, because this is where it gets squirrely. With the Surface, I can get 8 gig with a 512 SSD, but I can't get 16 gig with a 512 SSD unless I jump from an i5 to an i7. But I don't like i7s because they use more power and they generate more heat, and I don't need it in a laptop. I'm okay with an i5, and I think a lot of people are, but you cannot get 16 gig and 512 in an i5 on Surface laptop. And that i7 is going to put you at $1699. By comparison, the Dell with 16 gig, with 512, which really is a solid baseline right now for a laptop if you're buying in 2022, $1149. Is the Surface laptop worth $550 more than the Dell XPS for an i7 chip? That seems a stretch. I get the quality control issues of the Dell, but by golly, that's a whole lot of money. It's literally half, again almost, the price of the Dell. And I think that's the problem you're going to have. You're either going to settle for 8 gig and that 512 or 256 SSD in the Surface laptop, or you're going to spend a whole lot of money to get something that may not be quite what you want. Dell's customization gives you some other options, but you roll the dice and take the gamble on whether that quality control is going to be where you need it to be.